Hi, my name is Richard F. Lyle. I'm an artist, and you're going to be watching me do an oil painting of a trail at Zion National Park known as the Narrows. It's an amazing trail. It goes 8 miles long and it has cliffs going 1,000 feet up, almost straight up on both sides of the trail. You walk in water almost the whole trail. It's very interesting and well worth doing. I'm going to start the painting like all my paintings. First I do a transfer from my drawing to the canvas. After I do the transfer, I start my underpainting. I use two types of underpaintings. I either use a reverse color underpainting, which is what I'm using in this painting, and sometimes I use a grisaille. The grisaille, I'll explain that someday in the future, how to do the grisaille. With the underpainting, I try to block it in as fast as I can. In this picture you can see I just do the large shapes. I keep blocking them in and until the whole painting is all blocked in. It's no details, it's just the big shapes. It's almost like an abstract painting at this point. The other thing I would like to point out with my underpainting is I only use paint thinner at this point, and I thin out the paint, and to make it lighter I use the white of the canvas to make the values lighter. For darker values I use less paint thinner. Now it's time to start blocking in the painting foundation. I do this with the local colors, the colors that you see, and I do it basically in the same manner that I do the underpainting. At this point I just paint the local color into all the big shapes. And it's just the overall value of each shape and the color. It's no detail at this point. At this point, I would like to point out that I now thin my paint with my medium, which is 50% linseed oil and 50% thinner. I use very little, just enough to be able to manage the paint and let the paint spread evenly on the canvas. I want the paint to be about the thickness of a layer of paper at this point. I don't want it really thick. I apply the paint with big brush strokes and I let the paint just slide off the brush onto the canvas. One stroke and then I turn the brush over and then I do another stroke. I do not want to pull the underpainting off the painting. I just want to bleed through and give it color. You also want to clean the paintbrush in between brush strokes with a paper towel. Just wipe the brush off. Once you got all the big shapes blocked in with local color, then it's time to refine the painting. When you refine the painting, you keep on adding paint layer on layer on the original painting, but always letting the old painting come through some. Each layer gets thicker and thicker. This process is called wet on wet, and each heavier layer of paint is known as painting fat. So each layer gets heavier and they call that fat. You don't want to put thin layers on top of a heavy layer. So you got to put a heavy layer on top of each layer. If you put a thin layer on top, it will crack as the paint dries. Now after the painting is dry, you can put thin layers on. They're called a wash and a glaze, where you just use paint thinner again and you make the paint transparent and you put transparent layers of paint on. That's done after the paint is dry. At this point of the painting, I was adding figures and I added my best figure, that yellow figure in the I was so pleased with that figure, so well done. And then I realized he was too big. He would have to be the giant, Gulliver, with the wee people around him, or the small people around him. So what I did was took artistic license and I painted him out, and I added a bush where he's standing. Solved the problem pretty quick. So if this happens to you, don't get all upset. It can be fixed. So, I think I got a pretty nice little painting at this point. I'll let it set for a few days, and then I'll probably come back to about 15 and spend 15 minutes on it, adding a few things and maybe painting a few things out, and then I'll probably sign it. I hope you liked the video. I hope you learned something by it. I hope you watch videos in the future. Thank you. Give me a thumbs up or subscribe, please. Thank you.